it's Ningguang and Keqing. Are they saying something? Are their speeches over?
As said previously, Rex Lapis' soul returning to the heavens is the end of the contract. And it is also the end of an era.
3,700 years of contracts burnt and reduced to ash.
We, the people of Liyue, were indeed prosperous. But blinded by our prosperity, we forgot that time can be pitiless.
The long, unending dream of our Archon walking among us.
Now that we have awoken from our dream, we must learn to say farewell. Will you stand with us as we re-establish our contracts? As we build a new age of prosperity?
So concludes the words of Her Eminence the Tianquan. Does Her Eminence the Yuheng have anything to add?
Huh? Is she looking this way?
Traveler.
Yikes! She really is looking our way!
Is that the traveler who they say defeated the ancient god?
So young.
The Liyue Qixing always repay their debts. And as you have heard, our eyes see far and our reach is long. Name your price. You deserve that much.
Whoa!
Well, could you help me put up some missing person posters?
Why, you... Were you just trying to look cool earlier, or are you really that selfless? If you were looking for someone, you could have just told me that in private.
Roping you in was possibly the most masterful move we could have made. I believe that future generations will say so too when our deeds come up for their review.
The cleanup of the premises, managing the crowds as they exit, making an account of the rite. There's much that remains to be done. I didn't miss anything, did I?
Hey, Zhongli! Look at this! Everyone in Liyue is caught up in their emotions, thinking that they'll never see Rex Lapis again. And here you are looking all relaxed.
Why would I not feel more at ease after laying down the burden I have borne for 3,700 years? Right. If the two of you can spare the time, I should treat you to a meal at the Xinyue kiosk.
Ha! That sounds like big talk, Zhongli. Paimon might have believed you if you were treating us to some third-round knockout, but you'd have to pay out your nose just to stand inside Xinyue kiosk. Are you sure you can afford it?
You're right. I do lack the Mora.
But why would Morax lack Mora?
As the Rex Lapis Morax, I can easily create Mora. But since I have chosen to walk this earth as the mortal Zhongli, I should abide by the same rules that mortals do. When I was journeying with you, though I still had the Gnosis in hand, I knew that I must soon retire from my role as an Archon. So I had to rehearse a little for my new life.
Oh, no wonder! Paimon gets it now. You didn't look at the price tags when we were spending because you've never had to. But since you weren't used to not being able to just make more Mora as and when you wanted to, you had to try becoming a parasite to society who lives off of other people's credit.
Well, we were only spending Fatui money. You don't have to say it like that. In the City of Commerce, we do not merely exchange money or goods. We also exchange knowledge, memories, and foresight, as well as positions, roles, and lives. The Archon Morax could never experience life as the true mortal Zhongli could, no matter how many times he descended to be with his people. I must thank you for that. I will treasure the memories that I made as Zhongli, traveling the streets of Liyue with you. That is true. But there is no journey that does not end. No meetings without partings.
Paimon thinks that we should make a move and continue our search for the Seven.
I fear that continuing your journey may be difficult. The nation that neighbors Liyue by sea, Inazuma, is presently closed. Yes, the nation has been closed by order of its deity, the Electro-Archon Ball. And just as the people of Liyue preferred to call me Rex Lapis, she too goes by another name among locals in Inazuma.
Paimon thinks we've heard that one before. Raiden?
That is the case. And since Raiden is also the shogun of the Inazuma Bakufu, people call her the Raiden Shogun.
That said, though people at the wharf were saying that the situation in Inazuma is very tense, Paimon doesn't remember that always being the case. It wasn't that bad last year. Zhongli, since you're Rex Lapis, shouldn't you know something about what's happening there? Just how did Inazuma become a closed nation?
It's because of visions.
Visions?
When faced with circumstances beyond their control, humans often bemoan their lack of power. But if a person shows true strength of will at a desperate and fateful moment in their life, the gods will look upon them with favor. This is what visions are. Magical foci bestowed upon those who have been acknowledged by the gods.
Uh-huh. That's how people in Teyvat see it.
But starting from last year, the Raiden Shogun began promulgating the Vision Hunt Decree.
Vision Hunt Decree?
Yes. It was an order to seize all visions within Inazuma's borders, and to inlay them upon the hands of a statue of the 1,000-armed, 100-eyed god.
They want to seize visions. But why? Aren't visions blessings from the gods?
I should think that in the Raiden Shogun's eyes, it is precisely because they are divine blessings that they should be under the sole dominion of divinity.
Whoa, that's harsh.
The Animo Archon is the god of freedom, and the Geo Archon is the god of contracts. For her part, the Raiden Shogun is the god of eternity. It seems as though she has finally decided to eliminate any unstable elements that could pose a threat to her eternal realm. The fact that even I, the oldest of the seven, have now passed away, will only strengthen her resolve to pursue eternity. Knowing her, she must have again quoted that adage she is most fond of when proclaiming that decree to her people. 7 ideals for 7 gods, and of these, eternity is nearest unto heaven. All right then. Was there anything else you wish to know? Well then, I suppose you'll have to find a way to get inside this closed nation. Have patience. I suspect that some serendipity must first come into play.
Submit for judgment. Swift and merciful. Verdict
Come on, we can do it.
with the wind! Spirit Blade! Attack! Force my blade! A touch of frost!
show begin?
Where has Master gone this time? See my adorable daughter again.
There is no purer form of water than rain. It can aid us greatly in the purging of evil. Swift and merciful! Submit for judgment! A touch of frost. One with my blade. Spirit blade, attack! Swift and merciful. not underestimate my enemy.
I'll protect us.
One with my blade. The scourge of evil remains.
Retribution!
Knights of Favonius? I have nothing to say about them. We have different views, is all.
Traveler, please, over here. It has been a while since you joined the Adventurers Guild. Are your adventures going smoothly? Is that so? Apart from your own skills, reliable teammates are also indispensable when adventuring. Another person to count on is always good after all. But recruiting such dependable companions is no easy matter, is it?
Yep, and it's even harder to get a guide as good as Paimon.
Ah, yes. I do have some information that may be of help to you. Let me consult our records. Ah, there it is. There's been a certain blonde stranger who arrived in Mondstadt lately, dressed in most unusual clothes.
Blonde. Dress is all funny. It feels like Paimon's heard this one before. Wait, do you mean... Does that stranger's face look anything like his?
Like the honorary knights? No, they couldn't look more different. This stranger is a very tall man, and even has an eye patch.
Seriously? How does this have anything to do with Kaya? Eye patches can't prove that you're related anyway.
That stranger declined the guild's invitation, so I can't say that I know anything about the relationship between him and Mr. Kaya. Nonetheless, you can look for him if you're interested. Perhaps he might accept your commission instead. After all, it is not uncommon for some adventurers to not want to be limited by the guild, but be happy to accept a fellow adventurer's requests. And should the stranger be a strong adventurer indeed, he would certainly be a big help on your journey. Please don't talk down on yourself like that. You are the honorary knight of the Knights of Favonius, after all. Your deeds are the stuff of song for all the bards in the city, even now. Well, as to further news about him, you may want to ask Mr. Lawrence. He stands guard at the city gate, so he may know something about that stranger. I wish you every success, adventurer.
Honorary knight. Is something the matter? A stranger with an eye patch. Let me think. Oh yeah, I remember seeing someone like that. A blonde stranger dressed in unusual garb. He was wandering all over Mondstadt at first, which I found rather suspicious. So I decided to keep an eye on him for a while. I lost him pretty quickly. Still, I didn't think that this was such a huge matter that we needed our outrider to pursue him by air. As long as Master Jean is here, there's nothing to fear from some suspicious, unusual-looking person.
That might be true, but if it were up to Jean, she'd take this way more seriously.
That is true. But on the other hand, knowing that Master Jean may overreact to the situation is all the more reason to not tell her, no? Anyways, oh yeah, he was at Wagner's smithy for a while before I tried tailing him. He might have said something to Wagner. You should go ask him. Maybe he has more news about our stranger.
Mondstadt welcomes you. What? You need something? Here, I remember him. He showed up a few days ago asking to buy a bunch of forging materials. Can't say I've heard of any of the materials he mentioned, though. He then had a look at the weapons in my shop before leaving. I've heard that he can be found drinking at the Angel's Share. If the Knights or the Guild want to get hold of him, that's the only place to be.
The Angel's Share? Well, Master Diluc probably has his eye on that stranger too then. Anyway, let's go to the Angel's Share and have a look.
Take your pick.
Hello.
Jewels from Liyue. Come take a look.
What will it be? Grape juice or apple cider?
Hey, Charles. Have you seen a blonde stranger who wears an eye patch around here by any chance?
That I have. He comes here every night. Just a drink, though. Doesn't order anything else. He even sometimes mixes his own drinks after he orders them. I don't know anything else about him, but from his selections and mixes, I'd say that he's quite the connoisseur.
And what's Master Diluc's opinion?
Why, I just gave it to you. Quite the connoisseur.
Investigating everything as always. Guess that's Diluc for you.
If you're looking for that gentleman, he ordered some new bottle of wine in advance yesterday. So he should be here today, too. There's too many raucous patrons on the first floor, so if you want to wait, best to go to the second. Ah, welcome, sir. The wine that you previously ordered is here.
He's really here? Let's go downstairs and have a look. no intention of paying us any mind, huh?
A traveler, you say? Why are you traveling? Well, that's as good a reason as any. Sit down over there, then.
So, guess we've broken the ice. What a weird guy.
That little one beside you.
That's not true, and you know it.
It's indeed a good thing to have someone accompany you on your travels. My name's Dainsleif. I suppose you have some business with me? Sure.
And he was so cold just a moment before. Paimon's got a bad feeling about this.
But I will require advance payment. 500 mora, and 3 answered questions. The 500 is a one-time fee, and we'll settle the questions in a moment. That's it.
Well, now Paimon's got a really bad feeling. That kind of compensation.
Ah, thank you. Now as for my questions, I'd like you to answer them here and now. The answer to a question says nothing about right and wrong, only about differences in attitude. I only wish to know what your choices are. Question 1. The crisis Mondstadt faced was resolved by an alliance between yourself and that Animo Archon who calls himself Venti. Who, in your view, was the key to ending that crisis? I know everything that I should. Well, answer the question. Is that your answer? I see. Question number 2. Rex Lapis, who has defended Liyue Harbor for millennia on end, used his gnosis to lay down a contract to end all contracts, of which the stipulations are still unknown. Who do you think will defend Liyue Harbor in the future, now that they've lost their deity? So that's your answer? I see. Now for my final question. This world has people who gained visions, and those who did not. Which of the two do you think hold more importance in the eyes of the gods? So, this is your answer then? I understand. As I thought, you really are similar to her. I'll take that 500 mora. And now I also understand your views on this world. As we agreed, you may now commission me. That said, I only take commissions related to the Abyss Order. Like you, I am currently on a journey. You intend to find your sibling, while I wish to oppose the Abyss. Ugh. Those creatures that serve the Abyss are the fangs and claws by which the Order spreads chaos in this world. I have come to Mondstadt this time while on the trail of an Abyss Herald.
An Abyss Herald?
An even more twisted abyssal being, one that commands the Abyss Mages.
Oh, that's right! We've just been fighting against the Fatui and Liyue, who are human too! We haven't encountered the non-human Abyss Order at all!
There's some reason behind that, I'm afraid. It's possible that they may have been under orders to avoid your path.
Oh, that does sound pretty dangerous. Maybe they're looking for a better time to ambush us or something. Uh-huh! We're super duper strong!
That manner, it's just like hers. Well then, let's go see for ourselves, shall we? According to the leads I have on hand, the Abyss Order has re-infiltrated the Temple of the Falcon. Let's meet up at the temple. Perhaps your questions about the Abyss will be answered there. This abandoned temple does bear some marks of the abyss. The Falcon of the West. Though it can soar in the wind, it ultimately does naught but hover under the light of the gods. Hmm? Oh, it's nothing. Let's head inside.
I won't let you down. Incinerate! Yikes! Breath of the flame! Motion to compel! No one escapes my sights!
Time for retribution!
The scent of the abyss is getting stronger. It's not far now.
Paimon wonders what the Abyss Heralds look like. Do they look something like the Abyss Mages?
Let's head further in first. If we do see that creature, that'll spare me the explanation either way.
Verdict is... Time for retribution! Ha! Ha!
Leave my space! Fate is upon you! Can't handle your drink! Huh. Yeah! Huh, I'm here! Chip.
Burn! Ha! Yeah.
Just a few abyss mages? Seems like that herald might have already left. The abyss. It is chaos, and it is also destruction. It is a morass of inconceivable madness that encroaches upon this world's very foundations. That is why even the Dragon of the East, a servant of a deity, was unable to resist its corrosive powers. And the creatures of the abyss desire nothing less than the overthrow of a world ruled by the Archons.
You seem to know a lot about the Abyss, Dane.
Well, we do have some history. I suppose that's as far as chit-chat goes. We should head to Wolvendom. Judging by the traces I'm following, their next appearance may be within the territory of that old wolf. Perhaps we may find our Abyss Herald there.
If only you could cleanse the...
Well, we're in Wolfendom now. Think Dane's waiting for us up ahead? We should meet up with him quick, in case the wolves decide they don't like him.
Lord of Wolvendom, great Wolf King of the North. Sharp of fang and keen of claw, and yet dwelling here only. No, nor does it know me. I only know these things because a previous traveling companion of mine once wanted to hear its story. All right, let's go see if that Abyss Herald has stopped by here.
But where do we begin? Are you standing here because of these strange bonfires, Dane?
Indeed. See that, floating above the flames? It's an abyssal spell. Knowing what I do of the Order's habits, they've probably left similar marks behind elsewhere. Let's have a look nearby.
bonfire are under the Abyss Order's control? Looks kinda scary. Let's beat them up first.
Written in the stars.
Think you can bully me?
Retribution! Is that all you've got?
Let me scry.
Whew, that's that. Let's go check out that bonfire. Looks like this bonfire's also got something to do with the Abyss. Let the show begin. And there's another one of those bonfire spells. Looks like the... Yikes! Where did these monsters pop out from? Let's clear them out, and quick!
Have you finished searching? I searched around these parts and found some signs myself, but they were left behind by abyss mages, and there was no deeper abyssal power to them. It seems that even an abyss herald would not wish to make trouble with the Wolf King of the North. We should leave as well. If there's anything praiseworthy about that old wolf, it's his territorial nature.
But now we're out of leads. Are we going to have to give up?
No. There is one more place we can go. Let's get a move on then. I'll wait for you at Storm Terror's lair.
you could cleanse the corrupt souls of this world.
I've heard about what happened to you during Mondstadt's crisis. When you came, this place was known as Storm Terror's lair. But I suppose that this place is more lair than Storm Terror at this point. In fact, if my memory serves, this ruin has had largely nothing to do with that dragon for a long time. The first time I laid eyes upon the ruins of Old Mondstadt, the Dragon of the East had yet to fall, much less come to nest in this place.
Huh? But Paimon remembers that Dvalin first got in trouble hundreds of years ago.
Don't think too much about it. Do you remember the light actuators that once sealed this ruin? If the Abyss Order is interested in this location, then they will not neglect those mechanisms. Let's go see what the situation is at those light actuators.
Look! There are lots of monsters gathered over there.
Swift and merciful.
For retribution! Huh.
From whence you came, one with my blade. Ah! These are the perfect conditions for training. Come on, traveler. Train with me. Swift and merciful. Submit for judgment. A touch of frost. But how?
Let's dance.
What it is?
Spirit Blade, attack! with my blade. But how? Curb your fury!
Time for retribution!
Forth, my blade!
Verdict is... with the wind!
Ready, steady, go!
Time for retribution!
Swift and merciful! Submit for judgment!
Verdict is...
So in the end, we still couldn't find that Abyss Herald. Bummer.
I wouldn't call not having to gaze upon such a creature a shame exactly. Still, I do believe that you will come across one eventually.
No, you're right. If it's a really powerful monster, it would be best to go around it.
How good it would be if all perils one encounters in their journeys could simply be solved by going around them. Once upon a time, yes. I simply have experience from adventuring together with that traveling companion.
You know, Dane, you keep talking about that person this and that person that. Where are they now, anyway?
She... no longer travels. I'm afraid that traveling can be too exhausting at times.
Oh, is that how it is? Well, why are you traveling alone then?
I still have some things left unfinished. Once they are done, I too will return home to rest.
Yep, and it's good to have a home to come back to, isn't it? We camp out a lot when we travel. Hey, once you find your sibling, we should find a place to stay too, shouldn't we? Mondstadt's Fisherman's Toast is pretty tasty, but Liyue's one-man restaurant is great too. Either way, We should settle down in a place where there's good food.
Home. Well, it won't be too late to think about where you stay once your journey reaches its end. While you're still traveling, you should...
Huh? What's familiar?
A familiar feeling, you say? It could be someone you know well, or perhaps a monster. Whichever it is, we should see it for ourselves, and thus see clearly. We can reach the top of that cliff from over there. Let's go.
Whoa, Dan moves really fast, doesn't he? Let's use that wind current nearby to catch up.
Can you still sense that familiar feeling that you spoke of earlier?
But it doesn't feel like there's anything around here. No monsters, no people, nothing.
Indeed. There doesn't seem to be anything strange about this place. It doesn't look any different from the last time I was here. My traveling companion brought me here on our previous journey.
So, Dane, what about you? What's your favorite place?
Me? I no longer remember. I merely followed my traveling companion around on that journey. That's all there was to it. Huh? A ruin guard's footprint. A ruin guard was wandering around here? No peace to be found, even for a single dandelion.
What's gotten into you? You were just spacing out. Huh? You mean your sister? But how could that be? You only touched that dandelion for a second.
Perhaps that dandelion bears some sort of scent that only you recognize. As for why, has it perhaps experienced something related to you?
You're saying some real confusing stuff. Paimon doesn't get it at all.
Do not rush. Vexation and anxiety are the enemy of rational thought. Your journey has only just begun, has it not? At least you now know that she is still on this world. At this time, the most important thing is the journey to find her itself. Yes, and this is something you must keep in mind as the meaning behind your journey. May you find your kin at the end of that journey. Well then, let us part ways here for now.
Huh? You're leaving? Already?
Only for now. Don't worry, we will meet again. After all, I did take 500 mora and those 3 answers you gave me.
You should really bring the Knights of Favonius with... next time.
Children, come, come. You've arrived at just the right moment. I've been looking for you.
Oh, what is it, Granny? Need any help?
Oh, no. You've done so much for Liyue Harbor already. I could hardly ask for more. In fact, my old friends and I have been putting our heads together to think of what sort of gift we might give you in return.
A gift? For Paimon?
Oh, child, you are so very modest. Uncommonly so, even. But you mustn't decline this gift. I simply won't allow it. When you traversed my old teapot in search of the cleansing bell, I heard your little friend mention that you often camp out in the wilds. That simply won't do. Especially since I imagine you still have a very long journey ahead of you. Fortunately, I have not yet grown so old as to see my subspace creation abilities atrophy. Oh, did my friends never mention that to you? Well then, it is a blessing we old folks once received from Rex Lapis, part of our illumination, if you will. I will not go into too much detail, but subspace creation is the ability to create a small, autonomous pocket world. The teapot that you entered previously was a little trinket created using that ability.
So, in the eyes of an Adeptus, creating a magic teapot world is just child's play, huh?
Oh, indeed, the teapot is nothing to boast of. One such as myself must depart from this realm to create a world of one's own. Rex Lapis, on the other hand, moved mountains and seas. That is what one might call an exercise of true power. But that's enough nostalgia for now. The gift that I have prepared for you just requires a few final materials to add the finishing touch.
That's right! Finding stuff's what we're good at, after all.
Oh, settle down now, children. There's no need for you to go running hither and thither. I have already found a fleet-footed youngster to prepare what I need. What's more, I doubt that you would know how to find the materials I am searching for. Some of them are very rare indeed these days. Well, for starters, I require some shimmer soil from the banks of Dihua Marsh. Back in the day, it could only be found where the glaze lilies thrived most profusely. You would have to dig downward, following the roots of the glaze lilies, and if you were lucky enough, you just might find a small patch of shimmer soil there. But almost no one has been able to find shimmer soil in this manner since Dihua Marsh came to be the way it is today. Even more difficult to find is smaragdus jadeite, which must be chiseled from the rock of the chasm. Or so it used to be. Ever since the Blackcliff Forge opened for business, they've slowly but surely stripped the mines all but completely bare of it. In any case, Smaragdus Jadeite is an Adepti treasure, and the Adeptal power within is not something that most humans can withstand. Extended contact with it is, in fact, harmful to humans. Goodness knows if that child will succeed in finding these items.
Well, since you're an Adeptus, Granny, the person you asked for help, they must be an Adeptus too, right?
Yes. I suppose she does count as an Adeptus.
She counts? How come there are so many Adepti in Liyue Harbor? We seem to bump into them all the time. It feels like even when you go out to eat, you could be sitting next to an Adeptus and never even know it.
Oh, maybe so. Who can say? A fair few of my old friends are rather fond of mundane mortal life, after all.
I'm back, Granny. Oh, I don't believe we've met.
Ah, allow me to do the honors. This child here is Yen Fei. She's the one helping run some errands for me. Yen Fei, I believe you already heard of the Traveler and his traveling companion.
Of course, who hasn't? Much has been written about you in the Millilith's records. You became one of Liyue's most wanted after the Millilith marked you as a suspect following the incident at the Rite of Dissension. After which, you fought off the Millilith at Julian Karst and made contact with the Fatui. Before finally defeating an ancient god together with Granny and her associates, and subsequently being cleared of any and all suspicion by the Chiseng. What a shame. A shame that we didn't meet sooner. If we had, well, I can't say that I would have been able to clear you of suspicion immediately, but it certainly would have been less, embarrassing for you. Allow me to introduce myself once more. I'm Yenfei, a legal advisor. Got a legal problem? You can come right to me. Oh, yes, here's my business card. You'll find it has my contact details and office address. Keep it handy. If you have an urgent issue, just leave me a note at this address. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, I offer a very generous discount for first-time customers.
All right, Yenfei, all right. Let's get to the business at hand. I do not think these two are in any dire need of legal assistance at the moment. You'll have to excuse Yenfei. She's always been like this, ever the talkative one when it comes to her own affairs.
Paimon was gonna ask the same question. You seem really different from the ones we've met before.
An Adeptus? I guess. Kinda. My old man said he was one anyway. He mentioned that he once campaigned with Rex Lapis for a long old time, and then after that was all over, he went back and married my mom. They had me, and once I was all grown up, the two of them upped and left on a journey, leaving me with Granny here.
Well, that's a bit casual for an Adeptus. Aren't you guys supposed to sign solemn contracts to protect Liyue Harbor and all that stuff? What do you mean he just went back to get married?
Well, my dad did say that he'd talked it through with Rex Lapis, and that he was fine with it. Even contributed towards the wedding gift, apparently. Anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. So, Granny, I've gotten a hold of most of the stuff you asked for, except for Smaragdus Jadeite. I couldn't find any at all. The chasm's been sealed off, and there's just no way in. Couldn't secure any documentation either. Looks like the Ministry of Civil Affairs is serious about keeping it strictly locked down.
Is that so? But Smaragdus Jadeite is really rather essential. Yenfei, are you sure you can't find some other way? They have helped Liyue greatly, after all. It is only right that they are duly rewarded.
I know, Granny, you've told me 1,000 times already. Well, the chasm's definitely a no-go, but there's still a chance we can figure out some alternative means of procurement. Hold on a moment. Let me have a look.
Whoa, that's a really thick book. What kind of things do you write in there?
Commercial consultancy. Or Snezhnaya? Ah, found him. Krustle. A Snezhnayan merchant who once came to me with some legal queries on certain articles in the legal codices. If my memory serves, all of them had to do with rare ores. He mentioned that he was considering acquiring some Smaragdus Jadeite to make hairpins, and wanted to know if there were any legal ramifications that he should be aware of. Said he was planning to sell them in Snezhnaya. So, I guess I'll go look for him. With any luck, he'll have gotten his hands on some Smaragdus Jadeite, or might have an idea of where we can find some. Oh, you want to join me? I suppose that's no problem, but it's best if you just stand by and watch. If you try to get involved, you'll only risk placing yourself in legal jeopardy.
Wow, an Adeptus imploring us to avoid incurring legal liability. That's a first for sure. Best we be a little more careful than usual while we're with her.
Hello, Mr. Krustle. How's business been?
Oh, good, very good. All thanks to your advice, Miss Yanfei. What brings you here today?
You're too kind. I was simply doing my job. Now, I believe that the last time we met, you mentioned that you were looking to source some Smaragdus Jadeite to make hairpins. Have there been any further developments on this front?
Well, yes. As a matter of fact, in the end, I did acquire a small piece of Smaragdus Jadeite and had it fashioned into a pair of hairpins. Miss Yanfei, might I presume that you have an interest in the hairpins? I must apologize. I've already rented them out to a lady named Zhi Qiao. If you'd like to inspect them, you may have to wait quite some time.
Wait, isn't Smaragdus Jadeite really rare? Aren't you worried about the hairpins getting damaged or lost while they're being rented out?
No, I'm not worried in the slightest, because I signed a contract with Miss Zhi Qiao before renting them to her. The contract makes it quite clear that if she loses or damages the item in question, she must compensate me for its full original value. In return, I included a clause that guarantees the Smaragdus Jadeite is genuine, with a penalty of 10 times the item's value payable by me to Miss Zhi Qiao in the event that it is shown to be a fake.
Guaranteed genuine, with 10 times the value payable if this claim is shown to be false. Yes, these terms are very clear indeed.
Of course. This way, both the client and I have the assurance we need. To ensure fairness, each of us has retained an original copy of the contract.
In that case, might you know where Miss Zhi Qiao lives? We'd like to pay her a visit and have a look at the hairpins.
Oh, of course. She wrote her address down when we signed our contract. Here, I'll mark it on your map for you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Krustle. We'll be off now.
Whatever shall I do? Yes, that's me. Is there something I can help you with?
How do you do, Miss Zhi Qiao? We understand from Mr. Krustle that you recently rented a pair of hairpins from him. My associates and I are very interested in them. Would you mind letting us take a look at them?
The hairpins? I can't lend them to you right now. I've lost them. I don't know how it could have happened. I always kept them right by my side, and I hadn't even worn them yet.
I spent so much money on them. If I have to pay their original value, there's no way I could come up with that amount of money on such short notice. My family is in the ore business too, but business has been suffering ever since the chasm was sealed off. We now have a backlog of paid-up orders just sitting around, so we've been having to purchase some stock from other ore merchants to complete them. A big banquet is coming up in a few days, and several ore merchants I know of will be there. I need this opportunity to mingle and discuss prices. That's what the hairpins were for, to keep up appearances. I can't have them looking down on me. But now that I've lost the hairpins, what will I do?
Why does Paimon have a sudden strong sense of déjà vu?
Would you really? I sent a commission to the Adventurers Guild, but I haven't heard anything back from them yet.
Hold on. Don't run off looking for the hairpins just yet. Miss Zhou, would you let me have a look at the rental contract you signed?
Huh? Well, I mean, sure, I have it right here. Here you are.
Let me see.
That's right! Yanfei said she's a legal advisor, didn't she? Maybe she can help Zhiqiao somehow. True. Though surely there must be a win-win solution.
Right. I finished reading the contract. The terms are very clear, and they do indeed stipulate that you must pay Mr. Crossel the original value of the hairpins as compensation for the loss. Furthermore, the contract also expressly states that the amount of compensation must take current market prices into account. And given the rarity of Smaragdus Jadeite, I fear that the final amount of compensation may end up being significantly higher as a result.
Even higher? Oh no.
Uh-oh. Zhiqiao looks like she's about to faint.
However, all of this is assuming that it is indeed genuine Smaragdus Jadeite that was inlaid into the hairpins.
Did you really have to pause before saying that part? Anyway, the hairpins are lost, so how exactly would we be able to find out if the jadeite is genuine or not? Whichever way you look at it, we've got to start by finding those hairpins.
Except that if we found the hairpins, there'd no longer be any need to check whether the jadeite is genuine, would there?
Seems right.
Please. Please, don't trouble yourselves over this. The fact is, I lost the item, and I should pay compensation per the contract. However much it is, I will have to pay it. My family are merchants, after all. It's vital that we keep our word and respect our contracts. Now that it's come to this, I really shouldn't keep Crossel in the dark any longer. I'll go and inform him of the issue, and then negotiate the amount of compensation.
Yes, legally speaking, it seems this is the most sensible course of action. But before that, I have some questions about the hairpins. So hold on a moment, Miss Zhou. When you first touched the hairpins, what did you feel?
What did I feel? Well, I remember that the gemstones set into the pins were perfectly smooth to the touch, like the finest quality jade. My family has seen much jade pass through its hands in the past, so I am quite certain of my judgment in this matter.
Smooth to the touch. Finest quality jade. No, it's nothing. I just need to re-examine a few things. Let's head over to Mr. Crossel's.
Ah, Miss Yanfei, you've returned. With Miss Zhiqiao in tow, too, I see. How are the hairpins? I trust you're quite satisfied with them?
About that.
You lost them? Are you serious? Do you have any idea how expensive they were?
I'm sorry. Truly I am. I'll pay the compensation as per our contract. Every last mora.
Mora? Do you have any idea what I had to go through to get my hands on that Smaragdus jadeite? I just don't... Forget it. Talking won't bring them back. Since Miss Yanfei is here, I suppose we can just have her estimate the amount that needs to be paid.
No problem. But before I can give an official estimate, I'll need to do a little market research. Ah, yes, and if I may just confirm again, it was in fact genuine Smaragdus jadeite inlaid into the hairpins, correct?
Of course! Genuine article guaranteed, or I pay back 10 times the value.
All right, understood. I'll conduct some market research, and once I'm back, I'll provide an official assessment of the sum owed by Mr. Chow in compensation. Please wait here, Mr. Crossell.
Thank you very much. How could she lose my hairpins? She'd better pay every last mora that they're worth.
Looks like I'll have to find some way to raise that money.
Please wait, Mr. Chow. I have something to discuss with you. It's not convenient to speak here, so let's find somewhere that we can sit and talk in more detail.
Miss Yanfei, what is this about? Are you here to tell me how much I owe?
No. What I wanted to talk about is, there is a chance that the ore inlaid on those hairpins may not be Smaragdus jadeite after all.
What do you mean? Are you implying that you already sneaked off and found them?
Obviously not. I'm no adventurer, let alone a member of the guild. I don't run thankless, time-consuming errands for a living. Let's just say I made some deductions. I don't know if Granny told you this, but Smaragdus jadeite is found deep underground and contains very concentrated elemental energy. If mere mortals come into contact with it, well, they'll be sick in the best case. And in the worst case, they could even experience a dramatic change of personality. It most certainly would not be smooth to the touch. Mr. Chow, did you at any time feel unwell while the hairpins were in your possession?
No, not at all. I felt perfectly fine the whole time. Not even the slightest bit unwell. I didn't feel anything special at all, in fact.
Now that is strange. I noticed earlier that there were elemental traces in Mr. Crossell's vicinity. If I've deduced correctly, he may still have the Smaragdus jadeite in his possession.
If that's the case, we should go confront him right now and expose his dirty scam right to his face!
Absolutely not. If we were to confront him now, there's no way he would admit to it. Eventually, he would find some argument to compel us to leave. And then, he'd throw the Smaragdus jadeite into the sea the moment we were gone. After that, he would simply insist that Mr. Chow pay up per the contract. He would lose nothing. Meanwhile, we would have to look under every stone in Liyue, hoping and praying that the hairpins do actually still exist somewhere in this world.
So vivid that Paimon thinks it might be experience talking.
Oh, it certainly is. I've seen my fair share of situations like this, and brute force methods are certainly one way of resolving them. Fortunately, I have far more elegant solutions at my disposal. I'll share them with you in due course.
Well then, since you're so experienced in dealing with problems like this, perhaps you could help me, Miss Yanfei.
Oh, that won't be a problem. But first, Mr. Chow, could I ask you to please sign this contract?
Huh? Does there have to be a contract for everything? Paimon can't even keep track. It feels like Yanfei is even more concerned with them than a certain someone else we know.
These are my formal terms of engagement. Everything prior to now has just been pro bono advice. But for me to investigate any further, I require a written contract. Any work commissioned but not bound by a contract cannot be relied upon.
I understand. Then I will be glad to place this matter into your capable hands if you will take it, Miss Yunfei.
No problem. Just sign here, and I'll sign too. Okay. Now write your address here, and then sign on this page as well. And I'll also need your signatures on pages 5, 7, and on the very last page. Finally, if you could just use this ink pad to make a handprint over here.
This contract has so many pages. Paimon's all out of brain juice again.
All right, that should do it. My fees are the same as always, and they're written in the contract. Have a look through and let me know if you have any questions.
I've had a read through. Everything checks out.
Well then, here's your copy of the contract. I will retain the other copy. Not for now, no. Despite how intractable this problem might sound, it will actually be quite straightforward to resolve, once we've got some things squared away. I don't believe you have been part of an investigation like this before, in which case, hopefully this should be quite the experience.
Miss Yunfei, I have to ask, why are you helping me?
Because, as it happens, I'm currently trying to acquire some Smaragdus Jadeite myself. I noticed strong traces of geo-energy around Mr. Crossel, so perhaps he has, in fact, secured some. Whether he actually made it into an item of jewelry or not is a separate matter, but either way, it's a lead. As long as we follow it, who knows? We might just be able to get our hands on some Smaragdus Jadeite. Also, the idea of someone abusing the law to their advantage, I won't stand for it. But again, let's not dwell on this. Let's go to... where can we find someone who processes ore? Ah, I've got it! Let's pay a visit to Chateau, the boss of the Jade Mystery. He's a professional when it comes to working with stone and ore. If Mr. Crossel had his ore worked on at all, Chateau would undoubtedly have been his first choice.
Why, hello there, honored customers. Welcome to... Oh! It's you, Miss Yenfei. Is something the matter? Surely not more spurious claims that my jade betting is rigged and no one can ever win? Oh, I swear on all that is sacred.
No, nothing of the sort. Has a Snezhnine merchant named Crossel enlisted your ore processing services recently by any chance?
A Snezhnine merchant named Crossel, you say? I do remember that. He brought me a piece of ore, claiming that it was Smaragdus Jadeite. That was the first time I'd ever encountered it, so I had no way of telling if it was really Smaragdus Jadeite or not. But if a customer insists, far be it from me to contradict them. He was quite generous with his money, too, so I didn't give it too much thought. I processed the ore as per his request.
Do you have any leftover debris from your work on it?
Why, yes. It was my first time encountering this ore, after all, so I kept a few loose shavings to study myself later. They're right over there, in fact.
Thank you, sir. We'll take a look at them.
If my eyes don't deceive me, the cross-sections and patterning suggest that these are Smaragdus nephrite shavings. Yes, it's not particularly rare, nor is it especially valuable. It's used to make jewelry all the time. I've heard it said that Smaragdus nephrite is in fact the outer layer of Smaragdus jadeite, though no one's ever proven it.
A thin layer of separation, huh?
If you must see for yourself, try examining these shavings for traces of elemental energy. Smaragdus nephrite is an entirely ordinary ore, containing no elemental energy whatsoever.
Is that so? Well, we might as well give elemental side a shot. So, did you find anything? So they really are different. But wait, how come Jichao was able to tell what it was just by looking at the shards? That's pretty awesome.
There's nothing special to it. It just so happens that I've come across a great many of these in my time. These two stones actually look very similar. Someone without a deep understanding of them would find it very difficult to tell them apart. There may be only a subtle difference for the casual viewer, but that translates to an astronomical difference in terms of the market price. And, I'm sure, a significant difference in the cost of having them carved into shape.
All right, let's focus up. We're going off on a tangent.
But, never mind, Shirto. Why would Mr. Crossell...
Unusual actions have unusual reasons behind them. Let's take some of these shavings back to Chateau.
Miss Yanfei? Might I be so bold as to inquire,
If you could just confirm for me once more, sir. Mr. Crossell did indeed claim that the ore he brought to your store was in fact Smaragdus Jadeite, did he not?
Yes, that's right. I still have a record of the job with me, in fact. Here. It says quite clearly, 1 chunk Smaragdus Jadeite, uncut.
Then I have no further questions. But could I borrow the processing record and these stone shavings?
Of course. But might I ask why you need them?
Oh, I have my reasons. Ah, yes. Please sign here on this affidavit. This document shall serve as signed proof that these stone shavings originated from the, ore that Mr. Crossell brought to your store. Please read it carefully.
Yes, I see. Forgive me for asking again, Miss Yanfei, but might I know the nature of the incident on this occasion?
I wouldn't say there's been an incident, just a minor issue. Thank you, sir. I'll take these with me.
With this hard evidence to back us up, Crossell won't dare try to deny what he did!
On the contrary, this is far from sufficient to build a case. We need to find something a little more compelling. If you want to make jewelry, you need a professional jewelsmith. Let me think. Jewelry... nope. Aha! Got it! Xingxi. She often helps people to find a jewelsmith. Let's go pay her a visit.
Well, that was quick. How come you know so many people?
Because lots of people come to me for legal advice every day. As you know, Liyue Harbor is the city of contracts. And contracts, well, I should say laws, are very important to us. But the amendments made by the Tianquan to our laws are unnecessarily complicated. How can I put this? It just seems like they're hard to understand and impossible to finish. As such, legal advisors like myself provide quite the popular service indeed.
So you help them make sense of the law. But didn't you say that it's hard to understand and impossible to finish?
Yes, well, that's no obstacle because I've memorized all the legal codices.
You memorized them?
You sound surprised. Knowing the law inside out is a legal advisor's bread and butter, you know? Oh, this has nothing to do with being an adeptus. I just like reading things.
Again, with that casual tone.
Well, that's that then. Let's go look for Xingxi.
Oh, Miss Yenfei, it's you. Has something happened? Did the client from last time,
Have no further trouble from then on? Yes, of course. I'm just here to ask you a few questions. Has a merchant by the name of Crossel asked you to put him in contact with a jewelsmith recently?
Krosel? Yes, I remember him. He's a merchant from Snezhnaya, no? Yeah, he came to me with a chunk of something he called Smaragdus Jadeite. The design of the hairpins that he gave me was quite intricate, so it took me some work to find someone who was up to the job. Eventually, I found an older jewelsmith who made them exactly according to his specifications. This order was on hold for a very long time, and only completed quite recently, which is why I remember it so well.
Doesn't seem like there's any evidence to be found here.
Miss Inksy, I'd like for you to confirm for me once more. When Mr. Crossel commissioned you to find him a jewelsmith, did he or did he not assert that the material he presented to you that day was called Smaragdus Jadeite?
Yes, I'm sure of it. The hairpins were made using many expensive materials, and the asking price was quite high, so we had to put this transaction on record with the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Mr. Krosel wasn't very familiar with the necessary procedures, so I filed it on his behalf. I also kept a copy for my own records. See for yourself, the item is called Smaragdus Jadeite Twin Phoenix Pins. The inlaid gemstone is recorded as Smaragdus Jadeite. The document even has the official seal of the ministry on it.
Thank you, Sinksy. Now, could you let me borrow this document?
Sure, it isn't serving much purpose here anyway. I take it then that there's been some more trouble?
Nothing you need to worry about, just a minor issue. I'll return your document as soon as I'm done with it. Thanks again!
Why is everyone's first reaction always to assume someone or something is in trouble?
I believe we have almost all the evidence we need. We just need to make one last trip. Let's go to Boo Boo Pharmacy to speak with Dr. Baiju.
The weirdo with the snake around his neck? What do you want to speak to him for?
Because only he can provide an authoritative statement confirming that Smaragdus Jadeite is harmful to the human body. Once we have this final piece of evidence in our hands, we can wrap this case up.
My, to what do I owe the pleasure? Though I'm afraid that if you're looking for our little Chi-Chi, she's out gathering herbs. And if it isn't Miss Yenfei as well, now that's an even rarer honor. What business brings you here, might I inquire? Some charlatans peddling ineffectual medicines again, no doubt?
No. I'm here this time to ask if you're familiar with Smaragdus Jadeite.
Smaragdus Jadeite? Why, yes, there is some information about it included in the 6th commentary on the 7 Mountain Treatises. The 7 Mountain Treatises states that this substance springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains, and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. It is abundant in elemental energy, so if someone without a vision is in contact with it for a prolonged period, best case scenario, they fall ill. Worst case scenario, they'll suffer great changes in personality, and their illness will only ever get worse. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't come all this way just to chit-chat. Knowing you, Yenfei, and given the specific nature of your question, I suppose that you're about to ask me to write an official affidavit attesting to the pharmaceutical peculiarities of Smaragdus Jadeite?
That is indeed the case. If you would be so kind, Dr. Baiju.
No trouble at all. It's just a single document, won't take me a moment. I would mention, though, that you are not the only one who's developed a curiosity for Smaragdus Jadeite recently. A Snezhnayan merchant came to ask me about it not long ago. But after I gave him my reply, his expression shifted to one of remarkable disappointment. I wonder, Miss Yanfei, if your pressing business might be related to this Snezhnayan merchant?
Ah, you needn't concern yourself about that, Dr. Baiju. Thank you for penning us that document. I'll make sure to compensate you in due course.
You're too kind. Take care now.
That Baiju guy is as weird as ever. Is it just Paimon, or does it feel like he was fishing for something back there?
Dr. Baiju's always been like that. Well, we have the evidence we need. Let's go find Mr. Crossel.
Miss Yanfei, have you finished your investigation? I trust you will now be in a position to assess the compensation due.
Yes, my investigation is indeed concluded. I can now provide a final figure for the amount payable.
Wonderful. Well then, please, could you do the honors, Miss Yanfei?
Of course. According to the stipulations of the contract, Mr. Crossel, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original transaction price in Mora.
Sure. Wait, what? Me pay her? Surely there's been some kind of mistake, Miss Yanfei.
Not at all. According to my investigations and the material evidence that we've gathered, the substance claimed to be Smaragdus Jadeite that was inlaid within the Smaragdus Jadeite twin phoenix pins that you rented out to Mr. Chow was, in fact, Smaragdus Nephrite. Now, the contract states very clearly that 10 times the price shall be paid should the article not be genuine. Accordingly, you are liable for this sum, which is payable to Mr. Chow in Mora.
Material evidence? What material evidence? Why, Miss Yanfei, you cannot frame me like this. I spent a huge sum to obtain that Smaragdus Jadeite, and yet you claim that the ore inlaid on the hairpins is somehow fake? I demand to see your evidence.
Indeed. Only a testimony from an expert witness involved in the processing of the ore can serve as an authoritative assessment of whether it is genuine. Traveler, please produce the evidence in question. This is a processing record from the Jade Mystery, along with stone samples and an affidavit signed by the business owner, Chateau.
Seriously? Even the boss there couldn't differentiate between Smaragdus Jadeite and Smaragdus Nephrite. How does this prove anything? In any case, Smaragdus Nephrite is the outer layer of Smaragdus Jadeite. So I had him cut away the Nephrite, he returned the valuable Jadeite core to me, and some Nephrite samples remain in the store. What am I missing exactly?
That's an unsubstantiated belief.
Well, your claim that my ore is fake is just as unsubstantiated. And we are here to talk about evidence, aren't we?
Ugh. Looks like our first piece of evidence didn't convince him at all. Seems like he came prepared. What should we do next?
Hard evidence. Something legally binding. We have just...
This document proves that my hairpins are the real deal, doesn't it? This is the Ministry's seal, after all. It shows that the ore inlaid on the pins is indeed Smaragdus Jadeite.
Our second piece of evidence didn't work either. And this guy's getting more belligerent by the second.
You know, you could be right. Perhaps the hairpins are the real deal after all.
Of course I'm right. All the evidence shown supports my story.
Well, hang on a moment now, because I do recall one final piece of evidence that we haven't revealed yet. Traveler, would you do the honors? This shall serve as decisive proof of our case.
What's this?
Smaragdus Jadeite springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. Sustained contact with Smaragdus Jadeite over a prolonged period will, in less serious cases, cause a mild malady, while in serious cases, the patient may suffer a dramatic change of personality and fall seriously ill. Mr. Crossell, were you aware of these peculiar properties of Smaragdus jadeite?
I had no idea.
No idea, you say? I'd guessed as much. But for you to have rented out such a dangerous item, I'm afraid that this falls outside the scope of my work, but within that of the Ministry of Civil Affairs. However, I'm sure that the Ministry will be relatively lenient considering that, as you say, you were ignorant of the danger you posed. Don't worry, Mr. Crossell. I will make sure that all the evidence presented here will be handed over to the Ministry. I trust that you'll give them your full cooperation in their investigations.
What? Wait! I knew.
Oh, so you knew? Oh, dear Mr. Crossell. But if you knew of Smaragdus jadeite's dangerous properties beforehand, why would you...
Huh? No, The hairpins aren't actually
inlaid with genuine Smaragdus jadeite? Is that what you were about to say? You do understand, Mr. Crossell, that this means that you will have to pay Ms. Zerchow 10 times the original price in Mora? Mr. Crossell, your answer, please. My client and I are waiting.
He's seriously intimidating right now. It's like she's a different person.
I admit it. I confess. The ore I had inlaid on those hairpins was Smaragdus nephrite. But I'm a victim in all of this too. I invested a great deal of time and money into acquiring that small amount of Smaragdus jadeite, in the hopes of turning it into a piece of jewelry that would fetch a fine price. But after receiving it and carrying it around for a few days, I started to feel extreme discomfort. I couldn't sleep a wink or eat a single bite. I was in a constant state of agitation, too. I went to Boo Boo Pharmacy to get myself checked out, only to discover that this sort of stone cannot be worn as jewelry. But how could I let all that money go to waste? That's why I had another pair of hairpins made from Smaragdus nephrite, which is almost indistinguishable from Smaragdus jadeite. I kept the real Smaragdus jadeite in a specially made box. I daren't touch it again. I was worried that someone would see through it, which is why I only dared to rent them out, not sell them. And then to top it all off, Zhiqiao lost the hairpins after I rented them out to her.
Exactly! If they weren't the real deal, why'd you make her pay so much?
I didn't want to either, but when I purchased that Smaragdus jadeite, some of my business partners found out. I knew they'd be watching closely to see how much I could make off it. If word got out that I sold a pair of fake hairpins, then my days in this line of business would be over.
All right, let's cut the appeals phase right there. I failed to see what bearing any of this has on your transaction with my client. According to the contract, you must pay Ms. Zerchow 10 times the original price in Mora, and that is final.
10 times?
Crossell looks like he could faint any second.
As for me, according to my contract with Ms. Zerchow, 20% of that sum will go to me.
20%? That's as much as I spent on that Smaragdus jadeite!
There's no need. It's fine. You don't have to pay me that much, Mora. Even if the Smaragdus jadeite on those hairpins was fake, I still bear responsibility for losing them. Legally or not, I think I owe some compensation for that.
Ms. Zhiqiao, you...
However, Mr. Crossell, since you have no use for that chunk of Smaragdus jadeite, why don't you give it to me instead? I'll consider us even.
What? But all right then. This cursed rock's brought me enough grief as it is.
Miss Yunfei, I'll turn this Smaragdus jadeite over to you. I trust that it will suffice as remuneration?
Well, that's not quite how the rules say this should go. But whatever, it'll do.
Thanks so much for your help this time, Miss Yunfei. When you have the time, I'll be sure to visit and express my thanks more appropriately.
Oh, come on. No need to stand on ceremony. Now, if I may confirm this again, Mr. Chow, have you and Mr. Crossell come to an understanding?
Well, yes, I believe we have.
Well then, that's good. Mr. Crossell, it seems that my client has no further claims against you.
Is that so? That's good. That's good.
Actually, Mr. Crossell, I'd like to talk business for a second if I may. I could see from the hairpins you produce that you're very skilled in jewelry design. My family, on the other hand, works in the ore business, and we have a fair stock of fine ores. If we could join forces, your jewelry designs and our choice ores, I think we could do some fine business between us.
Let me think for a moment.
Well, that's that. And we've got the Smaragdus Jadeite that Granny wants too. All's well that ends well, eh?
Exactly. Usually when someone tells us they've lost something, we end up searching all over the place for it. But this time, you managed to solve the problem with just a big stack of documents. Even though the solution didn't involve actually finding the hairpins.
The right solution depends on your perspective on the problem. The objective of my client, Mr. Chow, was to reduce her liability to pay compensation. So, rather than looking high and low for some hairpins, proving that the rented item was nowhere near worth what the vendor had claimed it to be was the more efficient solution. An Adeptus. Speaking of, you took part in that battle, didn't you? In which case, you would have heard what Granny said. Liyue Harbor is now a city ruled by humans. The title of Adeptus means precious little to me compared to my job as a legal advisor. In any case, don't you think that the Liyue Harbor of today needs legal consultancy far more than it needs adeptal powers?
Paimon can think of someone who would definitely disagree with your reasoning.
Well, since we got what we came for, it's time to pay Granny a visit. I bet she's been on tenterhooks for a while now.
Ah, you've returned. How did it go? Were you able to find the Smaragdus Jadeite? Good, good. Then we have all the materials we need.
Well, if we're all set, Granny, I'll get going now. Got a ton of clients waiting for me back at the office.
Oh, you. All right then. Go see to your business. Granny should be able to handle the rest.
I'm off then. Bye! Oh yes, Traveler. Make sure you don't lose the business card I gave you. I've been looking into the laws of other nations as well. If you should ever bump into any trouble with the law, come find me directly. Regulars get discounts too.
Come now, child. Are you leaving or are you not? If you have no wish to leave, perhaps you'd like to help me clean my teapot, hmm?
I'm leaving! I'm leaving!
That child. Goodness knows where she learned to be so rambunctious. Her father was hardly so riotous or fond of talking nonsense back in the day when he stood beside Rex Lapis. Ah, indeed she is. Liyue has changed, and the Adepti must also learn to change. Yanfei might be overly garrulous, but she is also the most intimately acquainted with the city among us all. Ah, Liyue is not the same place I once knew. All right, then. Let us speak of this no more. Back on topic. I believe that I still owe you a little gift.
Oh, Paimon's so excited! How is it made?
It is but a single teapot. It shan't take long at all. Just wait here for a moment. There we go. This Serenity Pot is all yours now. Hold it firmly. If you were to drop it, oh goodness, who knows what might happen. Take these blueprints with you as well. You'll need them if you wish to make your teapot a little more lively inside.
Wait a minute, Granny. How exactly are we supposed to use this teapot?
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I've already arranged for a certain little helper to await you within this teapot. She will explain everything you need to know about it.
Wow! This teapot seems even bigger inside than Madame Ping's! There's even a great big house in the middle, too! Huh. But there's just a whole load of nothing around it. Paimon can't do that! Well, you're the one with the sword anyway. You do it! Still, why is it so empty here apart from that house? Oh, wait a second. What is that?
Well, it seems that we have a visitor.
It's a huge finch!
Excuse me, I am not a finch. I am a teapot spirit, and you may call me... hang on a moment. What am I supposed to be called again? Oh, call me. I suppose you may call me Tubby.
So you're the little helper Madame Ping mentioned?
Madam Ping? Oh, you must mean Ping. Yes, she did summon me here. She told me much about you. You may leave all matters regarding the upkeep of this realm to me. Your journey may be far from over, but at least this way you will not want for a comfortable place to sleep each night. Though it is the Adepti who create realms such as this, they generally do not have the time of day to attend to the banal matter of their maintenance. Thus, we teapot spirits were created to help guard their realms and manage their affairs. You may consider me a butler, if you will. Now, allow me to explain this realm to you. Have you any blueprints on you? Specifically, blueprints with beautiful rooms, chairs, and the like. As long as you have a blueprint, you can refashion this realm however you please.
Blueprints? Oh, that's right! Granny handed us some when she gave us the teapot, didn't she? Let's take them out and have a look.
Yes, these are the blueprints I'm talking about. Go on, open them up. Just commit the image of the objects to memory and prepare the necessary materials. Then simply release the thought from your mind and the object in the blueprint shall appear within this teapot.
Wow! Is that all it takes? Then we could build a whole city inside, couldn't we?
I doubt it. A golden-eyed adeptus explained this to me at some point in the past. He said that even though subspace creation is a product of adeptal power, even that has its limits. This world is not a true one, after all. It provides merely a moment of brief respite from the mortal realm, not a means of escaping it entirely.
A golden-eyed adeptus? Paimon wonders who could that be?
I hardly remember myself. What's more, I have never seen that Adeptus again since. Well, let's not dwell on that. Have a look around. Best you get accustomed to this realm. If there's anything you would like to ask, just look for me.